Well, as you know, I don't edit.
Harry.
It's absolutely raw. So I'm going to take the headphones up. Just finished a podcast with my friend Robert, the BobDavisPodcast.com, and welcome to the Bob Davis Podcast YouTube channel. And Harry is also a guest with us today. This is Harry.
Say hi, Mr. Houdini.
And yeah. So yeah, we just did a podcast, and it was really a lot of fun. It was good. I laughed too much, but other than that, it was great.
It was okay. It was okay. It was good. I enjoyed listening to it. I usually don't enjoy listening to the sound of my own voice or watching myself on video, so that was a little different for me.
Yeah. Well, you know how we have to proof, obviously, when we put stuff up, and you just have to make sure that it sounds good and looks good, and so I do that, but. I'm, obviously radio, I'm kind of used to listening to my own voice, which is not good. So, although I don't like all the laughing, although you did say some funny stuff.
Well.
So it's kind of hard to tell, but right behind us is the infamous garbage pile that we talked about in the podcast. And you really can't tell, but there is no giant pile of garbage because they finally got it out of there. And the story of how they did that is kind of interesting.
They bought a front end loader in, or an excavator, or whatever you want to call it, tracked vehicle with a big old backhoe bucket on it, and they used it to press the garbage down that was already inside of the dumpsters.
And why?
So that they could take the dumpster that was the garbage that was surrounding the dumpster and put that in as well and smash it down so that they could move the dumpsters out and bring in
the new
clean dumpsters.
Except the reason they did that was because the garbage guys refused to take the garbage because they weren't going to pick it up from the. I mean. Supposedly, what I was told was that not to go on and on about the garbage, but this is a good starting point, that they contract with the waste management company to bring 4 dumpsters after Thanksgiving. So this Friday, in the present time frame, which we're almost at the end of November, in the present time frame, we will get the dumpsters this Friday, supposedly. So there will be 4. The thing is, they fill up so fast, and we talk about it in the podcast, so we don't need to get into it, but I just thought people would like to see the location, which is right behind us, kind of blurred out, but the location right behind us is the infamous garbage dump.
Yes.
And we're close enough that you're close enough. I'm all the way over there, but you're close enough that it's not a pleasant experience if it gets to be too crazy, too full.
It brings more flies, definitely, and just in general, the noise from it starts at dark 30 in the morning, people driving back and forth up there, and same thing with the water station and the pump out station.
And we thought, well, maybe we should revisit where we are. We might move. And then Tom, who refuses to be on camera, but he's over that way. Tom refuses to be on camera, but he and I took a ride over there.
He has his reasons.
And we went across the road to Tyson's Wash just to see what we thought, and it's about 6 of one, a half a dozen the other at this point. They say first of all, there's a couple things I want to address. They keep saying there's 1 million people out here. I keep seeing this, and this goes back to the 80s and the late 80s, early 90s, when there were 1 million people perhaps out here, but high numbers, hundreds of thousands. And if you see the old pictures on the postcards and stuff, you see these RVs lined up all in these campgrounds. This is not what it's like here. There's a lot of people here, but it's not millions of people. And I wish people would stop saying that, or at least prove it. If it's millions of people, prove it. But if you ever see pictures of Woodstock, you know that was only 250,000, something like that. So if you get 1 million people in this location, I don't care what campground you're at, whether it's Plamoso or North or West or South or Tyson's Wash or Roadrunner, you're going to know that you got 1 million people here, and we're not anywhere near that right now. However, the guy said yesterday that they said, so the BLM guys said they had never seen this many people here this early. So I don't know what that means.
I'm not seeing it, truthfully enough, but at the same time, the only time I think it gets really disconcerting and unsatisfactory is during the show, and that's about the
RV show.
It really starts ramping up when the RTR, the women's RTR, and then the regular RTR the week following. When that starts, you really get a truckload of people in, and then right after that you have the big tent, which is the RV show and sale, and then you have the rock and mineral show directly following that. So for about a good month and a half time frame, it is absolutely packed wall to wall people here. But a lot of them don't even stay, or they may stay overnight. They're here for whatever show is predominant, and once they've gone to the show, they leave.
Keep talking. I'm going to put my headphones on to make sure we don't have too much wind. That's the biggest problem with recording outside out here.
There really isn't any place else to go north of here unless you like snowboarding and skiing, because it's full on winter.
That's true.
North of here,
Flagstaff, Payson, the Rim. I guess parts of New Mexico people go skiing.
Now you do have a lot of people that will go south down to
Yuma.
What is it? To Yuma. The various locations in Yuma, and there's a hot springs down there. And then you have the dunes down in Southern California that people go to.
That's where I got stuck.
At the dunes.
Because, idiot, my friend Sandy was there, and we'd been talking on the phone, and I saw her. And there's no guardrail up. You're on this road, and it looks... you drive down a dune. Well, I drove down a dune, and I got about halfway down, and the thing just tipped back. And I was in the sand up to the gunwales. It cost me $600 to get heavy towing to pull the thing out. It was ridiculous.
That sounds about right.
And yeah, you really got. Some people don't have to watch about sand, but if you have a heavy vehicle, it doesn't matter how big the tires are. It certainly matters if they're all-terrain tires, because that's even worse, because they dig down. And
well, not necessarily. I mean,
it was rough.
The thing that you learn with overlanding, when you're traveling stuff like that, you have to air down. So I'll take my tires usually down from about upwards about 36 to 42 psi. I'll drop them down to about 18 or 20 psi.
The truck is right back behind the camera,
and it widens it basically increases your contact area with your tires, and kind of distributes the weight out a little bit further.
Well,
so
the thing is,
it's easy to do, but it is easier to get stuck. You'll find yourself digging in deeper with mud terrain tires than you will with all terrain tires.
Well, I went down. I don't think there's. I mean, here's the rule: get out and look, because if you get out and look, you're gonna figure out that's probably not a good idea. I didn't do that.
Area.
Yeah,
you need to walk your area.
I was just in such a hurry to get there.
And you need to figure out what your line of attack is going to be when you go out and stuff like that.
And of course, the road just went right to it. So I could have just stayed on the road and I would have gotten there. But oh no, I wanted to make a big entrance, and I did. God, I was mad.
Did you have music playing in the background?
What?
Did you have music playing in the background?
Dun, 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 dun.
Little entry music, little bumper music.
Yeah, right. Little entry bumper. I should have put that on the loudspeaker. That would have made me an even bigger fool. And she was just, you could tell that she was like, don't do that. Well, we all make mistakes. We had a good conversation about motivation, and I think the best thing that you said was that you said, I don't think I've ever been happier since I decided to do this.
I have zero complaints about this lifestyle I'm living out here. I am just content and at peace with myself and everything about living out here. I don't do well with stress anymore. And being in society, especially being in society working customer service, that's stressful.
That's right. You worked
at
stressful. Well, we can say the name of it because you worked there.
Lowe's, I don't care about.
And Buc-ee's.
Oh
we talked about that too. We talked about the whole experience of working and being allergic. It's like being allergic to being in a house. I can't be in a house anymore. And I mean, I said I was lucky because in Wisconsin, I was able to camp on the lakeshore. But then later I went to New Hampshire. Loved New Hampshire, but I ended up staying for a month with a friend of mine, and they were very gracious to let me stay there and plug in, as we call it, mooch docking. But my eyes itched. I got stuffed up. I was coughing. It was not good.
I feel caged. I feel like an animal in a cage when I'm in a house like that. And granted, when I was up in Maryland in a house. I was more in a house in Maryland because I had to leave my trailer back at my buddy's house because there's just nowhere to park these things in Maryland where I was going to. It was pleasant being there and spending time with my daughter and other family members and seeing my granddaughter after a year, because I only got to see her briefly after she was born. And I really wanted to be there for her first birthday, but
when was her first birthday?
it was in October. But just the being in a house and not seeing the sun and breathing the fresh air and listening to people argue and
yeah,
the cars go by and the kids on their dirt bikes and mini bikes and just loud vehicles. I mean, it's not like you don't have that out here with some of these people with their diesel engines, but
it's a different kind of noise, or generators. And the thing I notice is that people like to keep their houses sealed up. So what happens is you're in this sealed up, even in the summer, and the air conditioning on, and you're just circulating the air. Once you get used to living outside, like we're out here all the time. And I think everybody out here, you spend a lot of time outside. Some of the older people spend all day in their vehicles, but we're outside doing stuff.
I mean, even when it's chilly out, I'll throw a jacket or a sweater or hoodie or something on so I can get outside and bake in the sun a little bit, even though you have a cold breeze blowing out of the northwest. I like to be in the sun. I like fresh air. I don't want to be locked up inside of anything. Yeah, I got the bigger trailer so I could be inside, mostly cooking during inclement weather, because that drove me crazy last year, not being able to cook.
Oh, that's right, because you had the teardrop, and that was the thing. And we all camp together, generally speaking, and I think that's another common experience in Quartzsite, is that people kind of get together every year and they camp with friends, and I think the friendships go a little deeper than your normal, and we become fast friends, but they're a little bit deeper relationships than, and we can give each other a hard time.
Well, we all kind of depend on each other out here more so than you would if you were in a city or even a rural area. I mean, you can expect your neighbor to help you, but here it could be life or death out here. Not trying to drum it up, make it seem like it's more than it is, but it can happen out here more likely than it happening, in a city or a rural community.
Well, you made the point that you felt that that for people who believe that this is the natural state of man, don't get me started about that, or that they're exhorted to come out here without really being prepared, because we're going to help you. You're going to be fine. It can be a challenge, and we've met people that have come out, even people who seemed prepared were really unprepared. I saw a video the other day of somebody that said that she came in, "Is this desert camping? I'm leaving," because it's a harsh environment, even when it's 65, 70, 75 every day. It's beautiful, 50 at night. That part of it is not harsh, but it can be difficult just because you're dealing with rocks and and there's now beginning to be a lot of people here. What else?
Well,
you have to be adaptable.
Come January, February time frame, it's going to be in the 50s sometimes during the day, and it's going to be
windy
in the 30s overnight, and sometimes drop down into the high 20s. And it's going to be windy. It's going to be 10 different kinds of windy. The wind will be blowing constantly all day, and you will have major gusts up 50, 60 miles an hour. And then you get the sandstorms or dust storms or whatever you want to call them that blow in, where you have like not even a quarter-mile visibility across the desert.
I'm going to get video of the next one when it comes in. I love the sandstorms, but there is no visibility.
No.
And stuff is blowing everywhere.
And it gets into everything. I don't care how well you think you have your rig sealed up. When you come out the next day after it stops and start looking inside, everything is covered with a layer of dust.
Yeah, and then there's where the door cracks are, there's little pathways of sand, which I think is kind of neat. I love it. I love weather anyway. But what else did we talk about?
I'm not quite sure.
We talked about how we're relatively. You're adamant about it. It's not a relative question at all with you. You're happier than you have been. I would say when I sit down and I'm all buttoned up and ready to go to bed and everything, I'm really happy at the end of the day. It gets a little challenging sometimes, and really with my issue, It's the work things, because I'm doing a lot. I'm producing a lot of content, and that part of it can be demanding. But
yeah, I need to start that ball rolling again
Yeah.
myself, and
it takes up a
delve
lot of
into
your
it.
time.
It does.
We can't upload from here either. This is a difficult.
That is a big problem. Is the cell signal here is damn near non-existent.
When people all get on it,
Correct.
It says 5G. It's not 5G, but
Even
I found a
even-
place
even
where you
4G,
can go.
I mean, it's
Which I'm not going to tell anybody about.
well, it's throughout the day, it's hit or miss. Early evening, from about 5 in the evening up until about 8, maybe even 9 at night, when everybody's sitting in their rigs
Watching YouTube.
whatever streaming service they're watching, YouTube, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Netflix. The bandwidth is non-existent. It's
Yeah.
gone. Everybody's sucking up all the bandwidth.
Especially if you have a phone that doesn't have a lot of front-end memory. You're really challenged.
And to even think about trying to upload something during those times of day, and then it starts up again in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. I start noticing my signal starting to deteriorate
Because we've been up all night watching YouTube videos.
There's something to be said about that. I'm not going to say it, but it's difficult. So I mean, most people go in town to the public library where they have free Wi-Fi, or Pilot gas station, or McDonald's. You're in the search for free Wi-Fi and trying to upload your videos. The people that have it good out here are the people that have Starlink, and
Starlink.
that is on my list of things to do sometime within the next year or so. But it is expensive, and I don't foresee it falling in price anytime
I found a
in the near
place.
future.
I found a place, which I'm not going to share with the audience because we don't want to. But I found a place. Well, I'll just say it. If you get close enough to the 10, you got 5 bars of 5G.
Yeah.
Out here, we're still pretty close. You can actually, well, not at this camp, but you can sort of see it at night through that way. But generally speaking, you have to be pretty close to the freeway to get that 5 bars.
It's interstates in general. Some Yahoo in government decided years ago that if we're going to have cell coverage, the best place that we need to have cell coverage is on the interstates. And I have found that to be true. There are very few places, even out west here, where the interstates, I-10 and I-40, can be pretty desolate. You look as far as you can see in the distance, and you see absolutely nothing but mountains and dunes and sand. But the cell signal is top notch.
Because they put the towers along the highway.
They put the towers along the interstates because that's where people need the most help.
Are we going to get Harry in the...
Didn't we have Harry in the beginning? Come here, buddy. Come here.
Everybody wants to know about Harry. And
Everybody
Harry wants to know about
Harry.
It's all about Harry. Harry, what's going on?
Come here, baby. Come here.
What's going on? Go see your friend. Go see your friend.
Come here, buddy. Come here, man. Come.
We don't want to pull you. We don't want to abuse you.
Come here.
He's like, oh, I don't know. I don't think I can do that.
Oh,
There
here
he
we go.
is.
Here we go.
There's Harry.
Harry Houdini is, according to his paperwork from the shelter, is a pit bull. That's what they say. He's full-blooded pit bull, but there's some markings, and his facial structure isn't 100% pit bull. But I adopted Harry from the humane shelter in Yuma. I guess it's been about 2.5 years now.
You came from Yuma.
He did. So he is
He
more
is
of
a
a
great
desert.
dog.
He is more of a desert resident than I will ever think about being. I mean, this is his home turf. This was where he was born, and where some incorrigible people let him loose to wander the streets as a stray. That's what his paperwork says. That he was a stray.
He might have a little bulldog in him with that kind of tiger marking there.
Oh, the Brindle pattern.
Yeah.
A lot of pit
Is that what
bulls
you
are
call it?
Brindle. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
Okay.
pit bulls have the Brindle pattern. But no, he's been fantastic travel companion. He sleeps 90% of the time when we're traveling. He's sound asleep. The only time he'll wake up is if he hears the GPS say something, if he hears a turn signal, or if he feels the momentum start to slow down.
Then he wants to know what's going on.
And he jumps up and he looks around. He's like, "Where are we going? What's going on?"
So the thing about Harry is that he looks at you. We can't get his face on because he won't turn his face to the camera, even though he acted like he wanted to be on. He looks at you with this look like, do you see what I have to deal with? He always looks so put out. And everyone's like, oh, you poor thing.
Yeah.
You're a stinker.
He does this thing where he'll stand on one leg.
Oh, yeah.
Until it starts to tremble. And, oh my God, he's shaking. I'm like, stop it.
He's a great actor.
Stop
Let's just put it that way.
He's performing for you. That's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing.
But he's fantastic. I hesitate to call him a pet.
No, he's like a person.
He is like a person.
Even though we're not supposed to say that about dogs, but
he is a friend.
He's kind of a person
he's a
anyway.
Companion, and he's the best thing that's happened to me out here. He made those long, lonely stretches of road seem a little bit more hospitable and tolerable, as having somebody to share the travel with. But,
so, any final thoughts?
Don't come out here. No, really. I would hesitate to not welcome anyone, but make sure this is what you want.
Absolutely.
Don't be like some friends that we have had that came out here thinking it was going to be one way and completely different than what they expected.
I think the expectations are the problem. You know, I didn't, unlike you watched a lot of videos, did a lot of research, and figured out. You started with the overland thing, which we talk about in the podcast. I didn't do that. I just wanted to go, and I didn't even know that Quartzsite existed. I found it completely by accident, really. The movie wasn't out or anything like that. That's kind of brought a lot of people in.
I knew it existed. I'm trying to remember if I watched the movie before I came out here or not. I don't remember. What I do remember is this being my primary destination, my first destination was South Dakota, so I can get everything set up there.
Oh, yeah, everybody sets up their stuff.
Vehicle registration and driver's license and that nature. But when I left South Dakota, I made a beeline to Quartzsite. For some reason, I was drawn here. And I remember I got here, oh my gosh, it was just at the end of the season.
Oh.
Of 2021. Just at the end of the season I got here. I mean, there was not a lot of people here. And I remember meeting the campground host at Skad and Wash.
Oh, you went to Skad and Wash too. Everyone goes there
because that's where you hear about. Yes, where you hear about. If you watch any of the videos from the RTR, they talked about Skad and Wash because that's where it was held at first. And I watched Traveling Robert on YouTube, and that's the first location he went to when he came here for the very first time was Skad and Wash. So that's where I went, and I was blown away by the fact that it was on Google Maps. Skad and Wash. Not too hard to find.
The lit cactus is now on Google Maps too.
So I went there, and like I said, I met the campground host who still happened to be here, and I said, how does this work? Do I have to check in? Do I have to sign something? This is my first time here. And she looked at me and said, Nomad? I'm like, well, I guess you can say that, now. And she just held her arms open and said, welcome. She's
been up there for years.
Yeah.
I don't know what her name is, but yeah, she's been the camp host up at Skad and Wash for a long time. Well, I guess I don't think the main thing is don't have expectations. Yeah. And we get asked a lot of questions constantly. Do you eat out of a can? The answer is, well, unless it's chickpeas. I'll eat chickpeas out of a can. I'll eat black olives out of a can. But other than that, no, I don't eat out of a can. Yeah, we are not savages. We have fabulous, just abundant meals.
I've got to cook my food. I can't eat out of a can like that.
No.
Tuna.
Tuna
and chicken.
I don't eat tuna.
I can eat...
that canned chicken from Walmart's pretty good.
Well, it is. It is. But yeah, I'll eat that stuff out of a can. But when it comes to... no, I can't eat anything else out of a can.
Well,
fruit.
Your YouTube channel is Darq Nomad, DARQ, Darq Nomad, and there's a whole thing in there about the build, which is right over there, which is the trailer build, and we're not going to show it because he's still in the process of finishing.
I am still.
What else?
In the process of trying to get that up and running.
And then, of course, the Bob Davis Podcast at thebobdavispodcast.com, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audible. What else? Did I say iTunes? And thank you for subscribing to this channel. Thank you for subscribing to Darq Nomad. Thank you for subscribing to the Bob Davis Podcast right off the page at thebobdavispodcast.com and all the things. And check out the other podcasts and all the other videos. And what else would we say?
I guess we're pretty good there. Peace, everybody.
Thank you. Now I have to get up and turn the camera off because we don't edit. There's no editing.
There's no editing. I tried to give him a little remote, but it's not working.
It didn't work, so bye-bye.